Thank you for downloading this in-ear entertainment podcast. You're listening to Shakespeare's Sonnets. Sonnet 19. Devouring time, blunt thou the lion's paws, and make the earth devour her own secret brood. Pluck the keen teeth from the fierce tiger's jaws, and burn the long-liv'd phoenix in her blood. Make glad and sorry seasons as thou fleest, and do whatever thou wilt, soft-footed time, to the wide world and all her fading sweets. But I forbid thee one most heinous crime. Oh, crave not with thine hours my love's fair brow, nor draw no lines there with thine antique pen. Him in thy course untainted do allow from beauty's pattern to succeeding men. Yet do thy worst, old time, despite thy wrong, my love shall in my verse ever live young. That was Sonnet 19 with a few words moved around just for the fun of it, and not because I was reading that badly. I'm joined by the very smiley today.
Thierry Heles. I'm in a good mood today. We've had this is quite an interesting sonnet to read. I'm not looking forward to this one because I can see myself stumbling quite a lot over all the
There are, and I do realise it's carve, not crave, and I'm sorry. As I'm reading it, this is the problem I have with the sonnets, is every error that you make kind of logs in your head, and it just drags you down as you go on. But if anyone thinks they can do it better, do try and read one of the sonnets without making an error to someone else. And it's actually quite hard. Reading it to yourself, you always get it right, but to someone else, it's very hard to do. So what's this sonnet about, Thierry? I'm going to pass the buck to you.
We have again the theme of immortality. We have quite a lot of mentions of time, again with a capital T.
Yeah.
We have swift-footed time and devouring time, and at the end he basically challenges it and says, "Do thy worst, old time. Despite thy wrong, my love shall in my verse ever live young." So it's basically saying time can do nothing against keeping this young man young forever in my writing, in my poetry, and in people's memory.
Yes, and there's the admission of love again in this, which we only had in one other sonnet. I can't remember which sonnet it was off the top of my head, but this is the second time I believe that
13, I think. Dear my love, you know you had a father, let your son say so.
That sounds right. So this is only the second time that Shakespeare's admitted it's love he feels, and I don't see that in the sense of romantic love. I don't think Shakespeare was a gayer who was trying to, because you wouldn't be encouraging him to have sex with women. That's what I think. But there are people who seem to think that Shakespeare wanted a romantic relationship with this lad, which I don't know. I can't see yet. Maybe we'll get to like Sonnet 25 and it'd be like, "I want you, come here, come to me." But I'm doubting that at this point. Shakespeare.
I think Sonnet 20 might be a bit. I think it's 20 where he talks about more the physical aspects of love. Again, without actually going the full "come hither" thing. But
I want to see you naked. Yeah, it does, that never comes up, and Shakespeare would put that in flowery terms, I imagine.
He's got a lot of style. I mean, we established that with having traffic with thyself.
Yes, exactly. I do like the beginning of this sonnet, which is the idea of time eventually will take away all that you hold proud, in the sense of is blunting the lion's paws, getting the earth to devour her own sweet brood, pluck the teeth from the fierce tiger's jaws, and burn the phoenix in their blood, which is
a very violent image.
I don't know much about the phoenix myth. I know that the phoenix at the end of its life bursts into flames and then rises from its own ashes. But is burning the phoenix in its own blood the only way to kill a phoenix, or is that something that Shakespeare's made up?
I'm not quite sure. I don't know much of the phoenix mythology.
No,
but just saying, burn the long-lived phoenix in her blood is
it's a wonderful phrase.
It sounds very definite. as if that's the last time the phoenix will burn and he won't rise.
Yes. I'm doing a quick how to kill a phoenix Google search.
That'll. I hope safe search is on, because that sounds like something that.
But I can't. Nothing seems to be coming up, at least on the front page, the first page of Google, for how to kill a phoenix, which is how to draw a phoenix. If anyone wants to draw a phoenix, how do you kill a phoenix? Yahoo Answers. Well, this is going to be the highbrow of the internet we're going into here.
Yeah, Yahoo Answers always is.
Apparently, the best way to rid yourself of a phoenix problem. This is the best answer coming from Ronald. Isn't killing it, it's sealing it. You have to seal the individual parts of a phoenix, its fire, its feather, its claws, its body, its soul, and you seal them, all these parts, in that order, and you will be rid of your phoenix problem. And the asker said, thanks, tried it, and it worked. So that's how you get rid of a phoenix. Brought to you by Yahoo Answers. There's a whole new podcast, isn't there, going through Yahoo Answers that's just popped up into my head. That sounds genius.
You do tend to find very, very strange things on Yahoo Answers. It's a very special part of the internet.
Yeah, it's lovely. I love Yahoo Answers. Back to the sonnet. So yes, we can kill a phoenix, and make glad and sorry seasons as though fleetest, and do whatever thou wilt, swift-footed time. Sorry. Yes, the idea that time eventually will come and take away everything we hold proud, or everything that helps you survive, so you die. Time is basically helping death to kill you, but because these sonnets are written, the fair youth will remain young forever, which is I think quite beautiful. I'm going to use that word in a manly way, in a manly, beautiful way. We've got the reference again to time having a pen, an antique pen. Draw no lines there with thine antique pen. Him in thy course untainted do allow for beauty's pattern to succeeding men. So I it's quite heavily packed, and I don't quite know how to unpack that. But I'll let you chat. Maybe. Does that make any sense to you?
It's again. I would say in this instance, time is just as much as it helps death, it also shapes what life is right now, and it draws out the future, and it has some, maybe not active control, but it has some sort of influence over what will become.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that makes sense. And then it ends on, like you say, the challenge to time, I guess. The do thy worst old time, which I love. It just sort of, it's Shakespeare taking on the battle for the fair youth, I guess. So we've had the fair youth, him trying to convince the fair youth to stay young through procreation. And that doesn't seem to have worked. And now Shakespeare's taking on the battle for him, going, well, if you're not going to try and keep yourself young and beautiful, I'm going to do it for you through my writing.
Pretty much, I can just see Shakespeare just standing there. Bring it on, bitches. Just
with his quill, his parchment, and death with this huge scythe in front of him.
Just throwing fiery pens at time.
There's a computer game there.
God. Well, Ludum Dare starts again in, was it 2 weeks, where people just basically write computer games and give them away. So, I mean, if any one of you wants to do that,
yeah, do our Shakespeare game. That would be amazing. And we'll talk about it on there. We'll do a special podcast if you do a Shakespeare game. That would be awesome. With Shakespeare throwing fiery pens at death, with a very, very, almost too young but very beautiful male sidekick. That would be like the optional second player. That would work.
But it is. I was also wondering what he says. No lines there with an antique pen, which implies that time has been doing this for, well, a very, very long time. Basically, yeah. It's been around forever, and Shakespeare is. Well, saying that this is strong enough to fight something that has been eternal up until this point.
Yeah, because I suppose from Shakespeare's point of view, he's putting pen to paper, and paper is only a transitory medium. It's not a finite, an infinite medium. It does yellow, as we heard in the last sonnet or the sonnet before. It yellows, it disintegrates, it has to be kept, otherwise it falls apart. So I wonder if underneath this there is the idea that he's doing his best, but he is only a man against time and death.
But then they would have had documents that were hundreds or even thousands of years old. Not quite sure how much archaeology they had at the time, but surely there would have been historic documents around that survive for quite. So he would have been aware that if there will be any value associated to his writing, that people would try and save it, and it might survive for at least decades from his point of view, I guess.
And I suppose when he was writing these sonnets, he had a modicum of fame around him. It wasn't in his early career.
He was doing quite well, yeah.
Yeah, this wasn't early Shakespeare. This isn't his teen angst poetry, let's put it like that. Which
it would be fantastic teen angst poetry if it was. No 14-year-old would write this kind of stuff. Well, I mean, there are people like that. I mean, John Keats was very, very young when he wrote his poetry. Well, he died very young.
Yes.
But I can't see teenagers today putting this sort of stuff on Facebook.
Especially not dedicated to another man.
Well, I mean, there are quite a few. I mean, people who are happily and openly gay, and maybe they would, but I still can't see them writing someone a sonnet.
Oh, I would love to find a teenager who writes sonnets. Oh, please, if you're a teenager and you write sonnets, please get in contact. That would make my day. I won't mock, I promise. I just want to know that someone out there is a teenager and is writing sonnets. That's all I want to know. That'd be awesome. Yes, I'm gonna leave that one there. I keep coming back to "and burn the long-lived phoenix in her blood." I just love that line.
It's a very, very good line,
and that's where my eyes keep going. So I can't really concentrate on the rest of the poem at the moment. So I'm quite happy to call this podcast to an end if you are.
Yeah. We'll read it again and
yes, you can read. Have fun with the stusts. There's only a few stusts, so you should be fine.
Yeah, it's the fleetest. That's probably gonna do me in. Sonnet 19. Devouring time, blunt thou the lion's paws, and make the earth devour her own sweet brood. Pluck the keen teeth from the fierce tiger's jaws, and burn the long-lived phoenix in her blood. Make glad and sorry seasons as thou fleetest, and do whatever thou wilt, swift-footed time, to the white world and all her fading sweets. But I forbid thee one most heinous crime. Oh, carve not with thy hours my love's fair brow, nor draw no lines there with thine antique pen. Him in thy course untainted do allow for beauty's pattern to succeeding men. Yet do thy worst, old time, despite thy wrong, my love shall in my verse ever live young.
Very good. That was
quite surprised I made it through that one.
That's sonnet number 19 from Shakespeare's Sonnets. I've been Mark Chatterley.
I have been Thierry Heles.
And we'll see you again for sonnet 20. Bye.
Goodbye.
You've been listening to Shakespeare's Sonnets with Mark Chatterley and Thierry Heles. This has been an In-Ear Entertainment podcast. To listen to other podcasts or find out more about In-Ear Entertainment, go to www.inearentertainment.com.